bringing you the latest news, game updates, insights, highlights, and everything Liberty Hockey. This is Rock the Rink, where Liberty Hockey lives.
Well, welcome back to the Rock the Rink podcast. The off-season coverage continues. Thank you guys for joining us. Pat and Forth here with me, which they're also popcorn buddies. They were just telling me about work together for commencement. What was that like, guys? Did you work well together? How's the chemistry?
Oh, I mean, it's like a dynamic duo, right? Like one of us is Batman, the other one's Superman. You know.
I was gonna say Rob.
I'll be Rob. I'll be your Rob.
No, we don't need to be that. You know, no second team here, right?
Great assistant coach.
That's right. We're our own dynamic, and yeah, it was great. Ate a lot of popcorn. It was good popcorn. Sold like hotcakes.
Some burgers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was good because we did it last year. We were one Josh Graham short this year of a perfect trio, but he didn't make the cut this year, unfortunately. But
Pat and I signed up, and it's a lot of fun. You know, like we were kind of checking in and like, okay, we need more. We made a lot of popcorn. Yep. We had some good systems. I was bagging it, he was folding it, and vice versa. We just, it really works.
Yeah, I'm glad that, because at first, like, we had some other friends at the other stand, and we thought we were going to be in the big stand, and we were like, oh, that's stinks. We're not going to be working with everyone. I'm so glad. Okay. Apparently, they were jumping the entire time.
Yeah.
And also, we got to leave early because our stand shut down before theirs after a certain time. So,
and theirs is hot. They're cooking burgers.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah, it was a grind for them. So I'm like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Did you get to take home any free popcorn?
Yes.
You did?
I took some.
Okay.
I did not.
Are you not a big popcorn person?
I love it, and my kids love it, but I don't like the mess.
And my kid has caps, so it's bad for his teeth. So I just had to be a good parent this time and just left it there.
Making the real sacrifices.
Yeah, I only have one kid that would eat the popcorn right now, so he has 3, so I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, well, glad to hear you guys had a good weekend.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, hey, we're going to toss it right off to an interview. We had a chance to talk with 2 members of the men's Division II team that are still sticking around, finishing up their final exams, so let's get to it. Well, awesome now to be joined by Josh Martin and Cade Pawluk from the men's D2 hockey team. Guys, I know finals just wrapped up. Are we all done? Are we finished by now with all your finals?
I almost am.
You almost are.
Yeah,
Okay.
I finished my last one up yesterday. I just have to finish up an online course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Now for you, is your final like flying a plane?
Yeah, so halfway through the semester, I had my check ride, which is like your big test. You have a ground that's probably like 2 hours, an hour, and you have a flight that's another 2 hours. So I got my commercial certificate back then, and now I'm just waiting for the summer to start the new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And what are you in, Cade?
I'm in project management.
Okay.
So business degree, had an accounting final. Hopefully it went good.
Yeah.
And then I have a project management final that I have left, and then just like an online class. So.
Yeah.
Is that like a lot of like business theory? Like obviously there's the accounting part, which is like numbers, right? But what is in your final? Can you kind of like walk us through this really quick? I'm kind of curious.
I was in 212 this semester, so it's like a lot of like job costing and like process accounting.
Like appraisals and stuff like that, or no?
Not quite. It's more like I would say like cost allocation and like I don't know, like the inside of the company, like the manager.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Like payroll, all that.
Okay,
kind of stuff,
okay. Make sure you just don't tank your company. In
Pretty
year
much.
one. I gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Now, Marty, tell me your first time up in a plane where you were going at it. Like, what was that like? What were the nerves like? Any nerves there?
Not really. I like thrills, so that sort of stuff kind of came natural. I will say taking off is so much fun. There's different kinds of takeoffs you can do. Landing is so hard, but takeoffs are fun. I've taken some of the guys up a couple times. You can do some stuff that scares them a little bit.
Okay,
if they're not expecting it. You just cut the power to the engine for a second, and they kind of get a little spooked, and then you just put the power back in.
Don't show this to your proms, right?
Wait, so who have you taken up that you think was the most easy and
Which
nervous?
teammate have you freaked out the most?
Yeah.
That's-
So I took up Gage Lonergan and Anthony Emmy. Emmy had been in a plane before, but not like a small plane. And Gage had never flown before. Never been in a
really?
plane.
Wow.
Nothing. So I
Wait,
took
where's
him
he
in.
from again? Like, how did he get here?
He's from Mass. He drove here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he played juniors in Mass. So he's actually my roommate. Funny guy, but I took those two up, and Emmy sat in the right seat next to me, so he got to see everything. And then Gage wanted none of that; he was in the back seat. I let Emmy fly the plane for a little bit, and then I did something called a power off stall. And Emmy just grabbed my chest when I did it, because you cut the power, you just drop down real quick, and then you recover real quick. So they were kind of nervous with that one, but
okay. Yeah. I'm not getting into a plane with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take Matley up though.
Yeah. How'd you even get into that?
That's actually a long story. When I was playing juniors, I looked into going to the service academies, so Air Force and Naval Academy. And went through that entire process, and then I got to my medical, and this was during COVID. I ended up failing my medical because I had COVID and I lost my smell, and apparently a lot of people just lie on those things. And I told them that I lost my smell, and it came back, and a bunch of stuff happened, but I ended up not getting in. But when I was looking into the academies, I was like, what job assignment would work best? And I was like, pilot sounds pretty fun. So I went up, did a little test flight with someone. I was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah.
So it's just because in that time you lost your smell, they didn't let you, or is it because you'd lost it, period, you were like null and void for after that?
Yeah, so I lost my smell. They offered me a waiver.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can go to someone that we appoint, or you can go to someone out of pocket. And my dad is a head and neck surgeon, ears, nose, and throat.
Yeah.
So he just did it because I was like, that's easiest. I can get in with him tomorrow.
Right.
So he sent it in, and I guess they didn't like that my dad sent it in.
Gotcha,
They thought there was a conflict of interest.
Right.
So then they were like, we're going to not take you.
Oh, that stinks.
Oh, man.
I mean, it worked out for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really a
Still.
great school.
Yeah, you're still flying planes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Cade, if anyone stays up to date with you, they know that you're kind of out there living the country life a little bit. You're going hunting, doing all those things. Did you do that a lot growing up?
Not when I was like really little. Like, I went when I was little like a couple times, and honestly, I was like, this is so boring.
Yeah.
And then it was when my friends started getting older, and I think like one of my dad's friends let them take the boat out for the first time, and we went duck hunting, and I was like, this is so fun. I was like, this is way different than like deer hunting. And I just got hooked, and then just like it was every Christmas or my birthday or whatever, just like get another piece of equipment or like save up for a gun or something like that. And just like as we gotten older, gotten more into it, and now I love it. So
yeah, what made it more fun? The duck aspect.
Well, for deer, like you kind of wait. Sometimes you'll hunt one deer for like a couple years before you put it down, and then with ducks, like you can set up a blind and throw out a spread, and you can put 6 down in a day. I mean, if they're flying. So
yeah.
Plus you're with your friends in the blind and stuff like that, so you're kind of chopping up and having fun. But yeah.
What caliber bullet do you shoot a duck with?
It's like a bird shot, so they make like a shotgun.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I have a 12 gauge, and then yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Are you excited for the revival of Duck Dynasty?
Yeah, I actually just heard about that. That show was definitely on all the time. My grandpa put me onto that when I was like, really little. And Cy was like a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah, my dad, same thing with him. Yeah, only like a month out, right? I don't know, like Canada, probably not that big on Duck Dynasty, but have you heard of it?
Maybe out west. Oh, yeah, I know Duck Dynasty.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't mistake those beards.
No. I've been around Liberty long enough when the Duck Dynasty guys were going through here like all the time.
Yeah.
That was actually just
that's
before
right.
you guys probably
Yeah.
came. Yeah. They're
That's
big
true.
time.
Okay, so tell me what this past season was like for you guys, both on leadership for the first time, right? How did that kind of change things for you guys?
I would say for me, like, this is probably the easiest place to lead. I'd say, like, the people around us, like, make it easy. I mean, we have an unbelievable team. There's so many resources here. And so, like, I wouldn't say, like, it's easy to lead, but, like, the people around us made it that way. So, and then, like, leading with a, like, spiritual aspect as well. Like, Liberty just feeds into that. And so, it's so natural, I would say. You really don't have to change anything. You just be yourself and have fun with your friends. And, I mean, there's people alongside you the whole way. So, it's a blast.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly what Cade said. The guys make it pretty easy, especially when you have guys like Cooper Neal and Josh Harrell. I know they've been talked about a lot recently since they're leaving, but they did a really good job. I mean, I talked about it a lot with those two, I guess with all four of us, where it was like kind of like the passing of the torch, where, you know, like this year was like the last year for those two to kind of leave their legacy on us two specifically, and then the rest of the team as well. I mean, probably the hardest part about it was like, I mean, Cade can speak to it too. Like, I was out for a good 6 weeks and like trying to find a way to manage the team when you're not in the locker room and you're not in the battle. It's kind of weird, especially like those 6 weeks, everybody started going down. And it just felt like we couldn't catch a break with that sort of stuff. But yeah.
Can I pause you real quick there? Have you ever been a part of a team before that had as much injury, like misfortune, that this team did this year? Like, it truly felt like every other week somebody was just going down. It wasn't like, okay, they're bumps and bruises out just for like a game or two. It felt like it like long term, put them on IR and save the cap space for the deadline kind of stuff, like truly.
Yeah, no, I've never experienced anything like that. I mean, when I went down, I think Emmy was shortly after me, and then Jacob Paget, I think, was hurt for a little bit. Then Kenny went down around the Lindenwood games, and then that Lindenwood game, I think some other guy, Roman as well. It was just concussions, and when Kenny went down after the first Lindenwood game, Harold and I were kind of like, we were recording the game, we kind of looked at each other, because like we weren't 100% yet, but we were pretty close, and we're like, well, one of us is playing tomorrow. And it ended up being both of us. But yeah, it was an insane year for dealing with injuries, and a lot of us were really kind of just clawing to Christmas break.
Yeah, and the fact that you guys started out like pretty shorthanded too, as the season began. Yeah, that was a lot too. So like next year, I mean, it seems like you have like 11 guys that are gone from the team. What's the I don't know, your initial thoughts on what it's going to be like to bring in that many new guys and kind of have to create a new identity?
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I think the guys that came before us, like Harold, Cooper, that whole class, like, they laid the foundation like nobody else. Mm-hmm. I mean, where we're at right now, I'm so excited for, and I think next year's going to be, like, it's going to be fresh, but it's going to be a good start. Like, I think it's going to be so good. So, I'm excited.
Yeah, we've talked about it before with the leadership group and a couple extra guys that it doesn't matter who the coach is, the guys that are playing, like, the culture is set now, and we're just trying to leave our legacy that it just continues on the rest of the way as well. Like, we're only stewards of this team for so long, and we're just trying to leave a legacy that keeps building. And I think the guys that just graduated did a really good job of taking that in. And I could see it from my freshman year as well.
You mentioned that new coach is coming in. Let's talk about Hughes really quick, though, moving on. Like, him at that D1 role, you guys obviously have gotten to know him really well. How do you see him fitting in that area now, no longer the bench boss, but like as an assistant coach at the D1 level?
Yeah, I think that's actually the perfect role for him. He did an amazing job of building relationships with guys. Like, you can tell he wants to build relationships with guys. And being an assistant coach, you can kind of chum it up with the guys. Yeah, you can be way closer to those guys. And I think he's going to do a very, very good job, especially working the back end and the kill. Like, that's kind of his specialty. Like, he played defense here for a while. I think he will be very, very crucial to that team's success.
Yeah. No, I think, like, I excelled the most when we would work on, like, I don't know, whatever it is, like, skills or whatnot. And obviously he was a defenseman, so he knows that side of the game. And I think it'll be really beneficial for that D-core, to have him. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah. So tell me, what an off-season, break down for me what the off-season is going to look like for you guys. Because you said you're staying in Virginia. Mm-hmm. You're going to kind of go home, but still around in Virginia, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys know, Rhett was the initial Liberty hockey player from Virginia. So he kind of started the legacy.
No, I don't know. It's not a legacy. But, yeah.
There's something.
So what is the summer going to look like for you guys? What are you going to be up to?
For me, it's going to be a little bit of recovery to start.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Had an injury that kept me from playing at Nationals this year. So then I'm going to start with some recovery and then work for rent and stuff, but hit the ice when I can. I'm hoping to skate again sometime in early July. So after that, it'll be pretty much a normal summer from there on.
Yeah. Nice.
So. Yeah, so like you said, I'm staying this summer. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be working on my flight instruction certificate. So that's an everyday thing, 4 hours a day at the airport. So that's going to be a grind. But most summers, especially this summer, I'll be working with Coach Kerr with workouts. And then I'll be skating with a lot of the guys that are staying back. So like Sam Feemster, I'll be working out and skating with him a bunch. That's kind of what these summers have turned into for me. I'll take 2 or 3 weeks off, and then I'm right back into the thick of it.
Yeah. Nice.
When you look forward to next year, and obviously you said like a lot of guys graduated, right? So this is the new look team, but you did just have the CFAL weekend where all the recruits come in, and D2 is able to sign some guys. Did you get to meet many of these kids, and what does the future look like? Do you feel like it's a retool, or is it going to be a year of rebuilding?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I think this year is going to be a retool. I got a chance to meet a lot of the guys coming in. In fact, there's another Virginia kid coming in.
Okay.
He's from home. His name's Robbie Rains. He did a really good job at Prospect Camp. He'll be a good two-way guy.
Yeah.
He was pushing the pace, pushing the needle. A lot of guys like that next year where it's like, we're going to keep mentioning Josh Harrell, but like guys that play like Josh Harrell.
Yeah.
Just like those two-way, like gritty, grindy guys.
Sure.
We definitely need that. I think it's going to be huge for our success next year. Like, we're a fast-paced team that can play a two-way game, and that's a lot of the guys that we're bringing in, and they all seem like pretty cool kids too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look, you guys have been on the doorstep of like making the Final Four of Nationals multiple times now, and it's like getting over the hump. But when you look at this new group coming in, what needs to start from the get-go, like day one, to get over that hump with a new look team? Like, I know that's and like I know too that's hard because it's like, first thing, we just want to make regionals, right? Like I think you have to go small goals, but like big picture, like Liberty D2 no doubt is going to get there. Like I think we can all accept that. You're too talented of a team not to, but there's something that needs to happen, and this is a tough question, but and some of it is injury related, right? Like you can't happen freak incidents. You can't control that. But is it depth, or is it just kind of like the luck of hockey, like the hockey gods, if you will, just kind of everything coming together? What do you see it as?
I think, it's definitely a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That is a tough question to ask because it's never the team on paper that wins it all.
Yeah, exactly.
I think injuries definitely play a part into it. I mean, like you said, we were scraping a little bit at the beginning of the season.
For sure.
There. Yeah. But yeah, I think honestly, I think the faith aspect of Liberty could play a huge part. I think ultimately, our goal is to share the gospel at Center Ice one day, and I think God's going to honor that, but He's not going to do it if it doesn't give Him the most glory, And so I think we just have to be faithful and keep playing, and work hard, and still be hockey players, but serve Him through it, and it'll happen one day.
Yeah.
Next season could be a good shot, new coach, and we'll see. It's gonna be fresh, and it's gonna be new and exciting, but we'll see.
Yeah, love that answer. That's great.
Yeah. Now, as we kind of wrap up here, Marty, I heard that you recently received the award for worst chirps on the entire team.
I was really hoping that wouldn't get brought up.
Is that something you're going to kind of work on in the off season? Kind of mull over, think about?
Honestly, I think I'm just gonna shut my mouth. And just not say anything.
It can't be the worst of
I'm just gonna smile and just leave it at that and just leave it be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the best chirper in your guys' mind?
They gave it to Tucker this year. Tucker was a good one.
Yeah.
He loved to mix it up. Abate's pretty good.
I was going to say Abate. He's a huge locker room guy. He always knows what to say.
Yeah, I really hope that guy comes back. So if you're watching this, Eric, I want you to come back next year. But yeah, no, Abate was a really good one. I was thinking about it.
Roman every now and then.
Roman's decent.
Yeah.
Emmy is sneaky.
He is sneaky.
Anthony Emmy is sneaky funny. Yeah.
Okay, but you're not.
Andy with the chirps.
Yeah.
And also, you guys played some golf for your little banquet celebration. Who's the best golfer on the team? No doubt, who could you throw out there? They're going to put out a consistent performance.
I'm saying top 3 is going to be maybe Kaner, Cooper, CJ, but Kenny could also be in that too. So
yeah.
If you're playing at what's the course we went to?
Ivy?
No, New London. If you're playing at New London, you want Dylan Kent. That guy has played there. When we went to that little trip, he told us that he played 15 times before that outing.
Wow.
In that month. That month alone. That month alone.
Okay.
Sounds like Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
That month alone, he played 15 times.
Okay, good to know. Good info. So, guys, I'm just curious. NFL draft wrapped up a couple weeks ago. If you guys could pick one team you want to be drafted to and the position that you want to play, what would it be?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge football buddy, but my dad's originally from Philly, so we've always been like Philly fans. So I'd say Eagles.
He's not bandwagon, folks. He told me this beforehand, so I can attest to that.
Go Birds. And then maybe like running back or wide receiver.
Okay.
That'd be sick. I'm not tall enough to be a QB, so.
Yeah.
Really easy answer for me. Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Bills Mafia all the way. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. Except if you ask me to name 5 guys on the team, probably couldn't do it.
Shout out Eric Abate.
Shout out. Abate got me on that one. He's a big Bills guy. Can I name 3?
Yeah.
Under the pressure? Probably not.
Okay.
But I love Josh Allen. What position? I'm too short for every position, honestly. Maybe kicker.
Maybe kicker.
Hunter.
You know what? Don't say that. Have you ever heard of Maurice Jones-Drew?
No.
Look him up. Running back for the Jags. That guy's tiny, but he was a powerhouse.
Who's that guy too that plays for the Cowboys? Super small, like 5'5".
I know exactly who
You know
you're
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, though.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I played with him on Madden. I drafted him, and I was like, this guy's so small, but he was money for me.
Yeah, so there's a spot for everyone at the table.
There's just no running backs that are 175 pounds.
Yeah, you'd have to fill out a little bit. Yeah. And then if there's a Stanley Cup team that you're gonna jump on board right now, you're in the mix, you're in the locker room, you're on the team. Whose locker room are you jumping in to join them the rest of the way?
Easiest answer. Florida Panthers.
Okay.
I love Matthew Tkachuk. I like Sam Bennett, just the game that they play, the way that they're able to just take over the minds of the other team. Like, you always have to be thinking where that guy is when he's on the ice. And their head coach is just an absolute beauty. He's so funny. So, yeah, probably definitely the Panthers.
Yeah, Rhett doesn't like to hear that.
No, you know what?
You're a Toronto guy.
I am a Toronto guy.
Yeah.
I'm an all Toronto sports fan. The hard part for me is that I love the way the Panthers play, and if I could take those guys, I would, but I have to hate them.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I totally would. Like,
You're up 1.
I know.
Not
If I could, that's true. That's valid. I can't fight that one, honestly. If I could like swap Mitch Marner, like, okay, can I? Since we're open this door, I mean, like, my whole plan would be if Bennett does not re-sign with Florida, let Marner walk, take that $13 million plus, get Bennett in as your 2C, move Tavares down to 3C, and even like chat with Ekblad. He's a Toronto boy. Like, start bringing some more Panthers north.
I think he was scratched last night.
No, he was suspended.
Yeah, that's right.
So
what do you think about that little collision in front?
I didn't think the collision was a big deal. Like, everybody's making out like it was this massive elbow. I didn't.
Agree.
I think what he did do, which again, I don't think it's suspendable. I think he put the butt end out a bit and just ripped it through.
Yeah.
And that took, but like, that's kind of hockey. Like,
Yeah.
I know also like Stolarz, I think, has a conky, but I think that came from maybe the shot earlier.
That's what I was thinking too. He took a rip.
Right in the face, eh? Yeah. So, yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah.
I hate the Panthers. I love them. Paul Maurice when he was the Leafs coach, I loved him there. So like they're a bunch of beauties. I just hope they lose.
My older sister, she's a goalie.
Okay, yeah.
She played NCAA, and when I would shoot on her, if I got anywhere near her face, she was all over me.
Yeah.
Like, she was chasing me around the rink. Like, this is like, you'd think it's like 12-year-old kind of thing. No, I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
If I hit her anywhere near the face, or if I sniped her, she's coming after me. Yeah.
That's great.
Like, I didn't want to hit her. It's up to me. I would have scored.
Oh, that's good.
So you guys are you taking Panthers out of the East too?
Yeah, I think Panthers might be the fan favorite. I think it would be sick for Toronto. I mean, obviously,
it would be great,
long
but
out and stuff.
What about out of the West? Who you guys think?
I mean, if the Jets are going to keep playing Game 7s like that,
that was crazy. Hellebuck, though, was a disaster. Like, what the stink, eh? I don't know.
Yeah, he was so awful during the series.
Did you? I don't know. Saw the numbers. Like, on the road, his save percentage was like in the 700s, and then at home it wasn't even 9. Like, it's just that's a lot of money in a guy.
I think every team in that series. I think every team that won at home in that series.
No, you're right. So. Yeah, I think Dallas might be tough to beat.
I was going to say Dallas.
Yeah. I could see it being Dallas, Florida. Gary Bettman's dream there.
I hate to say it, Edmonton.
Yeah, I don't.
They might sneak out, like when you have the 2 best players in the world.
That's true. When you're playing with Calvin Pickard, though, between the pipes, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Joseph Waldo.
I think Waller's better than people give credit
Okay.
for. Like after this is my last thought because I can get going. He hadn't played in 3 weeks, so that was part of it. And then last year, when he came in against Boston, like I think if the Leafs had started him from the get-go instead of Samsonov, I think the Leafs might have beaten Boston. But anyways, we'll see. We'll see. I still think Florida's going to take the series, though, as much as I hate to say it.
Well, by the time this pod comes out, we'll know. Rhett will either be sad. Actually, I feel like you wouldn't even be that sad because you're kind of used to it. But
best chirper on the podcast, Annie Corey.
Be neutral. We'll be happy.
I've suffered a lot of pain in my life, so I'm kind of getting used to it.
No, I relate. I see that. I watched the 49ers go to 3 Super Bowls. Choke every time. So I'm there with you. But
Bills 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yes, that's rough. That's rough.
Script, though. That's different.
Were you even alive then for
Nope.
that? No, I was going to say,
I heard my dad kick the TV after like the 4th one. And he's a pretty like even-keeled guy.
Chill,
that sent him over.
It's a lot of punishment.
Yeah.
You should watch the documentary, The Four Falls.
Oh, I can't do it.
I just recently watched it. It's a good watch if you're not a Bills fan.
Can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah. It's sad.
But
sad stuff. But hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time. Have a good summer.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys as well. Yeah.
Well, hey, great talking with those two. Obviously, the men's Division II team, it's going to be a huge season of change for those guys. I mean, they're reloading a huge amount of their team and also welcoming a new head coach onto that group. So prospect camp, I'm sure, was a really exciting time for them to see who's going to come in and be able to fill up some of those spots. It was really exciting for the whole hockey program in general. I mean, guys, what were your immediate takeaways from that weekend we had?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to just see the talent, right? Like that comes through prospect camp, obviously. 60-plus skaters on the men's side, 30-plus on the women's side. So, like, that's huge when you have that amount of volume of athletes. And usually the pitch and sell radius and recruitment, signing, commitment process usually triples once they get on campus. So, like, I think that was the biggest thing. And how many times have we had Ben Hughes and Brett Berthume last year when they said, like, it's about not just getting talented players, but the right guys that want to be a part of the Liberty culture, and I think they all got to experience that, so that's huge too. But yeah, from a talent perspective, there's 2 teams that are going to need an influx of 10-plus players, and that's D2 and D3, and I think it was super huge and beneficial for them. Like, the years that they were able to have this past season, I feel like they're going to have a chance to, for men's D2, in a year where everyone thinks they're going to be down, potentially not really miss a beat and make it back to nationals, even though half your team's going to be new because of the depth you're going to be bringing in. And then men's D3, I think Josh Wagner, he's proven like I can bring in a big class and like we can still be pushing for that AAU title. So I feel very confident with the talent that we saw with them. And then I know the ladies had a fair amount of good talent too.
Yeah, on the women's side, we had about 30 players come for select camp. And it's interesting, previously at women's D1, but at women's D2, like, it's more exciting because I find that, like, there's maybe a handful of players that Coach Lowe's will be looking at for the future, but that number grows to maybe 4 to 6 on our side just because the level's a little bit lower. But it was really cool to have some of the girls that are already committed to our program come and skate at that select.
Right.
Yeah. So as a coach, I was really excited. Also looking for future prospects, but also getting really excited for this upcoming season. Like, I've got multiple drawings in my office of like, okay, who am I going to put with who? Obviously talking to Coach Rena about that and just getting excited about these incoming players
for this season. So.
Yeah, and speaking of those incoming players, we have 3 new commits for the Women's Division II program. I mean, 4th, I might as well just hand it back to you. Could you tell us about these ladies?
Yeah, MJ Pettis, Sasha Herring, and Emma Bardwell. MJ and Sasha, they all were here skating. I missed Bardwell's skate, but I heard good things. But watching them, like I said, that weekend,
it was really exciting. I think Sasha's going to come in and be a really good centerman for us. Just watching her take face-offs, she's really intense and deliberate, and like, I love it though. Like, she's going to win face-offs out of sheer grit, and she's going to win, I think, 90% of those 50-50 draws that kind of end up in a tie-up. MJ Pettis is going to be really good for us on D to round out
possibly that top 4 spot, and she can shoot the puck well. And then Emma Bardwell, she's a big, tall individual with a lot of skills. And again, just getting to know them a little bit more over this weekend, just really good kids too. So and our team speaks highly of all 3 of these girls. So the fact that they're
excited for these incoming freshmen, and coaches and myself, we're just ecstatic to have this weekend happen and have these girls on campus again. Looking forward to next season.
Yeah, I think you add them to your already two players in Honeycutt and Wilhelmy that, like, I think for your group now, it kind of pushes them and moves the needle even more to the goals that you're probably hoping for, winning that conference championship and then also making it out of pool play. They add like a lot of depth to this group, and like it makes it even more exciting for women's D2 because we all know like had one of the best years in program history this past season. You expect it to not only repeat but potentially even move even further. So I'm very excited to see how women's D2 do next year.
Yeah, how much does that success from the past couple seasons and the overall excitement around the program help in the recruiting process? Because I know it's not always easy at the women's Division II level. Recruitment doesn't always go as smoothly as you'd like, but how much has it helped these past few years?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I think even having conversations with some of these girls, like, oh yeah, you guys have done really well these last couple of years. The fact that they made nationals the year before this year, and actually on paper had a better season. They went 2-1 in pool play, and this year we went 1-2. So I think girls are seeing that level of D2, especially at Liberty, rising. Like,
if they want to be at Liberty, women's Division I team is a very hard team to make. Yeah. Right, they're the best in the league. The standard is so high, right? So even to just make that team, like you got to be a special player. Right, so if you're on that bubble, which a handful of these girls are, and even current girls on this team, I think just competing at that high level and us pushing to raise the bar on the ice, I think is
really great. And again, these girls are coming in with a positive attitude and really wanting to play good high-level hockey and be successful. So I think this next year, I've said it 100 times, I'm very excited to see what we can accomplish. But again, on top of all of this, they're good Christian kids. They're believers. They want to be a part of our culture at Women's D2.
I think our Rena's done a good job. I think our leaders have done a good job in being Christ-focused. And I think our team does a really good job of coming alongside girls and loving on them and just
being around those girls and having these girls in town again. Like, they see that and they want to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to hear. And we saw it too. I mean, when we had Maddie Gaddy and Mel Gracia on here, just fun to see what players like that who have been through the program, how much they've enjoyed it and how much they've grown over the years. And that program is only going to keep on getting better. So a really, really exciting future in store for that program. And, maybe one day you'll have a dynasty like the Women's Division I program, talking about a team that has a high standard. Hey, we're going to get to talk now to the head coach of the Women's D1 Flames, Chris Lowe's. Well, awesome now to have head coach Chris Lowe's with us. Earned another national title this year. I'm sure it's a well-earned offseason for the entire Women's Division I staff. So, Coach Lowe's, I'll start out by saying, what are the plans for your offseason? A lot of sleep, I'm sure, since that national title?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot going on since that final horn sounded. Just getting players off, graduation this past weekend, and, just year-end meetings, a little bit of recruiting. We had our league meetings this past weekend in Nashville. So, yeah, there's still lots going on. I feel like it's now kind of officially off season now that campus is quiet. But no plans. Recharge the tank and already kind of looking forward to the fall and the potential for next year.
Yeah, were you able to go to any graduations last week?
We weren't. We were in Nashville. Gotcha. Coach Garland, Coach Hughes, and I were there. Coach Rena was there.
Yeah. Well, we talk about the off season. What is head coach Chris Lowe's dream vacation? Like, could you give me a spot? What are the activities?
Be careful on this one.
That's a great question. We've had some good ones lately. My family's always been a fan of the Outer Banks, so we used to do that as an annual trip. Been going to Florida a little bit lately, a place called St. George Island, been the last couple of years. But I don't have any hard, Lisa and I were talking about whether we're going to take the girls on a cruise or do something fun. But still TBD.
Yeah. Any golfing you think in store this summer, especially with Coach Forth over here?
No, every time I've asked him, he's turned it down, which is probably smart. He's a really competitive guy and doesn't like to lose.
Yeah. I don't play at his dog track, so.
He's got he gets to get on some other courses probably for less money.
I like to go places where they repair their ball marks and do it. But no, a little bit of golf here and there. I think I'm playing this Friday in a tournament, so
Yeah. And hey, if you ever want to get a little bit better, you can just watch his educational videos online. They're pretty good.
Justin Forth Golf, YouTube.
Shameless plug. That's right. So, Coach, I guess just take us back to the national title run this year. What stood out to you about that run? I know having some of the ladies on here, they were saying, man, we were just getting nightmares in that double OT, thinking, oh my gosh, it could be like last year. Were you kind of feeling the same vibes?
Yeah, there's certainly moments where just you don't think it's your time, right? And even looking into overtime in that final game, we gave up a couple breakaways, partial breakaways, and just lots of opportunities. And when I went back and watched, their shot map and their chances, just realizing how good Maryville was, how much pressure they put on us, and maybe along with that, how good Keith was in net, just to prolong that game as a goalie, right? And that's a pretty daunting place, being the backstop, right? You can keep making saves, and we couldn't get it done offensively. So great job by her. But no, overall, it was an incredible week. In some ways, the week went according to script, right? We got a couple wins in our pool play and felt good about the way we were playing. And Midland wasn't an easy one, and we dropped down a goal early to them. And of course, Maryville was just a grind in the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk a lot about, we've had a lot of your girls also on the show talking about where this one ranks. For you, where does this one rank? I know that's hard to say with winning 6.
I've been asked that before. It's, each one's kind of its own unique journey and challenge. This one's up there. We started the year, we lost 1-0 on the road, right? We had a young group, and I thought just the way the year kind of came about, I think early on our vets led the way, right? Especially those seniors, and whether it was production or leadership, I thought they did a great job. And by the time nationals came, I think our rooks were rolling, and we saw some pretty big performances. Haley Lee had a couple big goals, and Presley Ellis played big minutes before her injury, and so. It's up there. When I look at national final games, it's probably the most competitive. I think year 1, Forth remembers with Adrian, right? They were really strong.
Yep.
So I think at some point we felt like the underdog. But this was a year where, we were stretched to our limit. And I think to see our girls find a way and pull it out, big OT goal by Zasha, and we're laughing.
You've played now and won at 4 different venues. All right, which one's the favorite? You've got St. Louis. Yep. You got Columbus. That was the first one.
Yep.
Dallas,
yep.
Which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Durkin's Pizza down there. And then you also have Boston.
I don't know if I'm in the minority, and even being in Nashville with our league, there was lots of chatter just about some of the experiences. But Dallas was one, Frisco for sure.
Yeah.
Just everything, the weather, right? The time we had as a team between games, and laying out in the grass and walking to Smoothie King every day, as our recovery. And so I would say Dallas is one. St. Louis, we go so much, but it's a great venue, and there's a lot to like. But I would go Frisco 1 and Minot 2. It was cool.
Minot. Wow, I
was a
forgot
cool
about
trip.
Minot. Wow.
Yeah.
Doing the Minot, and there was nothing great about it. We stayed in the hotel. We were either playing hockey, eating, sleeping, or hanging in the hotel. So there was no fun and fun in the sun, that sort of thing. But Minot did a great job hosting. It was a competitive venue, great rink. I don't know. It was.
Yeah, we had our routine of hey, we're gonna get Panera, Starbucks, head to the rink, and it was our venue. So it was women's D1. Yeah. It was our event, and I agree. I think that was a close second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Now, we've also talked to a lot of your girls, and you can there's no argument now. When you win 7 titles in 10 years, you have to talk about the culture of this program, right? So talk a little bit about this culture, because I know even back when Coach Forth was with you, and he talks about it with Women's C2, there are girls you've turned away, even though you know how talented, because you're worried about them disrupting the culture. But now you're starting to see, I think, other teams are also paying attention to the culture that Liberty has. So talk a little about that and how that's played a key role into the success we've seen this program have.
Yeah, culture is a buzzword, right? And I feel like every coach out there talks about it, right? And every coach in recruiting, every coach, we got the best culture, and we want to produce great humans, and all these kind of buzzwords. the reality is it's hard to know what other teams are doing, right? And you get a little bit, occasionally you'll get a transfer, and, even when our girls went and played for Team USA, you get to, there's some, sharing stories, sharing experiences, but the reality is we don't really know what's going on elsewhere. You hear sometimes when things are bad or teams have a bit of an implosion. But I think for us, I don't know where to put all the credit. Obviously being at Liberty, right, and being, eternal in how we're approaching our job as coaches and trying to be transformational versus transactional, again, buzzwords that people use. I don't know how we're doing, but we seem to have pretty happy, healthy kids, first of all. I think this year's a great example of, as a coach, you got to have your vets. You got to have your captains and your vets on board, and I think we did this year. They were united, and they kind of helped lead the way, and kind of, when you look at that, like, leadership from your girls, and sometimes it's, hey, do this, do that, but more importantly, sometimes it's, hey, just follow me, right? Follow our lead, and I think our girls do an incredible job. But obviously we've created a culture of winning, so I think there's high expectations. That can be good and bad, right? Sometimes takes the joy, and Coach Forth knows this. A bad year for us is dropping a conference title and winning nationals, right? That was a year where we didn't accomplish. So it's a weird place to be, but just trying to ride the high and enjoy it, and keep building. And I look at next year, and the goal is to be better next year than we were this year, and I think we are. I think we're going to be, and I love the group we got coming in, and if you can keep doing that. The problem is the league's getting better. Right. So even though we are there's this chase and this pack, and you look at Maryville, McHenry this year with kind of breakout years. Midland's always tough. Minot's always tough. Adrian's, one of our big rivals, always there. So, the future's bright, and I look forward to kind of that competition growing.
So we've talked about it a lot. I think the first national title that you maybe won, you were excited. And we've talked about a little bit of relief on the other end. Where does this national championship rank as far as, like, were you excited because of the big, huge loss last year? Or was it like more relief of like, okay, we got this one?
There's always a bit of a relief. I think there's a bit of, and other coaches maybe know this too, that kind of energy dump. I don't know what it is when you go to nationals, but I usually come home sick. My voice is gone. And it's not like I'm screaming or doing it. Just, a little bit stressful, away from home. I don't know, not sleeping well, but there's always a relief. This one, there was a lot of excitement being in overtime, right? Yeah. When that moment happens, and that play just happened so quick, and looking at how the game was unfolding, that could have went 4 overtimes, right? Like it was tightly contested, very good goaltending. Not many penalties, right? So scoring chances are down, right? We had 1 power play, we went 1 for 1. So yeah, overall, bit of relief, bit of joy. Losing last year was tough, so excited to get back to the finals, which is a big accomplishment, and it was very great moment.
At this point, what did you say? 7 out of the last 10, 6 out of the last 7 years winning a championship. Do you ever feel pressure, like of, man, I got to keep this thing going? Like if you because you didn't win last year, it's like, okay, is the run over? You win this year, it's like we'll get, like, it's special already, but like, okay, where are we going to be in the history books? Do you ever feel that maybe like that random pressure?
Yeah, I think it exists, and I think you just look at as we turn the page to next year, right? We've got a freshman class coming in that's the expectation, right? We're returning a veteran class, and fortunate to get a couple of our vets and some of our big dogs, girls that log big minutes back. So yeah, there's pressure. I think even this year, right? You have someone like Craig that comes in and transfers in, and she wanted to win a national title. Right, and we needed it. She had a great year for us, and she was a great addition. But the idea that people are going to transfer here potentially, and that's a part of their goal. So, there's a pressure there as a coach to I think keep performing and keep that momentum going.
Yeah, can you think of you talked about Craig, and obviously potentially a couple other transfers, hopefully this next season, and obviously like you said, the league notices, and these girls want to be a part of something special. And obviously I think you talked about some girls going to play for Team USA, and I think the leadership over there, like in Brielle and Battles, like they've obviously done a great job promoting the program, and like, hey, it's not just about winning and losing. We love people and we love Christ. So I think people are maybe curious about that. Other than Danica Polson, how many other transfers have we had over there? I'm just trying to think about that. Pat may be he's a good hockey brain.
Well, I know you also had Sally Hurd.
Yep.
And then
Grand
Craig.
Valley.
Yeah. It's a good question. Not too many.
Yeah, but
you'll
like
have 2 next year, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
that's the plan.
Yeah,
And
so hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah, it's. I mean, obviously you're in a good spot. So you guys are continuing to do a lot of good things, and it's really cool to watch and see girls like Zasha be super successful and make that move. And it's a classic Zasha move. Like even last year, like working on that kind of stuff and picked her spot and just having confidence to make plays like that, I think is really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. Zosh is kind of the epitome of working on your craft, right? And different girls put different attention, as a coach, into their skill set in practice. But that release, those are things that she's been working on a lot. And her game, right? She was a great player as a first year. But to see that evolution come is pretty awesome. And then to your point on transfers, in some ways I'm not a big transfer fan. I'd rather invest in a kid and get 4 years, right? If apples to apples, everything else is the same. But Craig was a great player. Sally Hurd, right?
Yeah.
You look at the title we won with her, and would we have done that without her? I mean, she was a big piece.
Great skater,
Danica Polson. But I think it says a couple things. I hope that's a sign of our girls talking highly of their experience, right? And kind of their reputation. And I also think the way the girls carry themselves on the ice, right? We generally have a pretty good reputation in the league, and I think girls want to play there. They want to play, with the best talent, and hopefully play for titles.
Now, if you could take us back to the Chris Lowe's, who was just accepting this job to take over the women's program. I mean, I know every coach is hoping for the best when they take over, but did you expect something like this to come out of it? What was the original intention and thought process in it?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. And fourth knows, right? You just kind of move on, and right. And our lacrosse team just won, and I was talking to Coach McQuillan, Coach Zampano. Like, there's just kind of a, in a couple weeks when it's done, you just hit a reset and you get going. So I haven't spent a lot of time. Fourth and I occasionally will talk about kind of some of the things that we were able to do, but. It's just kind of back to the grind, and I can't explain the success we've had. I mean, God's been really good to us and allowed us, to have kind of unprecedented results, and just trying to be faithful with it and give Him all the glory and stay focused on our vision, right? Training champions for Christ, and the hockey, kind of take care of itself.
Could you give us kind of just a word about your graduating seniors, the ladies who are moving on? What comes to mind when you think of that class?
Well, obviously the first thing, they won 3 titles in 4 years. It's really ridiculous. And the fact of, that's the first thing that stands out. But then beyond that, right, we talk about culture and girls wanting to play here, and that's the result of them. So I'm really grateful for all our alumni, girls that have come along the way. And, in a lot of ways, this win, gets credited to girls that played 5 years ago, and past leaders and vets and captains and girls that have kind of made this program what it is. But no, what a special class. And like I said, we rode that senior class pretty hard this year. We needed production out of them. We needed their leadership, and man, they delivered. And they all have their own kind of legacies they're leaving. Just looking at the decor, right? We brought in Peebles, Carl, and Glenn all together, same class, and I mean, that's some teams' all-century team. They're top D, and they came in the same year and quarterbacked us, and even back to fourth remembers, right? The rookie line of battles. Fussy and Adamak, at nationals, their freshman year, and how important they were, and come full circle, and and when they were young, right, they were just out there, just playing hockey, right? We didn't need them to lead or do anything, and now come full circle, and it's their team. That's a pretty fun thing to watch.
Yeah, awesome.
Before we let you go, I have 2 questions real quick. Obviously, you just touched on your girls that have just graduated. Now let's talk a little about some of the girls that you have coming in. I know to try to not reload this team to hopefully be able to defend your title. Talk a little about some of those recruits.
Yeah, well, recruiting starts with keeping your current girls. So, the fact that we're getting 5th years back, Sammy Peebles, how important was she to us this year? And man, I'm excited. Like, her game's still got more in it. Like, and I think she knows that. She's excited to get after it and kind of be that quarterback on the point and bringing back fussy Adamak battles, right? There's just
Huge.
so much production. And, our power play was really good this year. We went through some really good stretches and culminated in Natty's it being pretty good. I think we had, 1 for 1 in the finals. We had 3 in the Niagara game, our last 3 goals. And so start there, and then got a great class, kind of the future starting to build. And, I think as a coach, really aware of what after next year is going to look like, right? We're losing a lot, but, we're bringing in a great goalie in Emma, a girl we've been connected to and committed to for a long time. And it's funny because especially in the last 3 months, been getting lots of recruit emails and lots of goalies out there. And it's funny, I just had this piece every time I get one, like, no, we got the right one, right? We got a great kid coming in, and there's been some really talented girls we've been hearing from, but that's always great as a coach. And Chloe Moses out of Michigan was just down last week, or came down for our prospect camp, and it's great to see her again. She's going to do great things. Has a great work ethic, competitive spirit, and she's got some great hands, good around the net. So, and then we've got a couple transfers that we're still, I don't know if I'll release them, you'll see them coming out soon, but girls that the league knows, there's 2 of them, a forward and a defenseman, and really excited. They're both great kids.
I will chime in. It's exciting. If it pans out.
I thought you were going to release it.
No,
I do agree. If they do come, it's going to be really good for your team.
And again, I'm not a big transfer guy, but when there's certain kids that it's a no-brainer. Craig was one of those. Polson was one of those years ago, and I think these 2. I'm excited about just the chance to coach them for a year, right? The one and dones, and have them kind of come in and leave their mark on our program as well.
Love it. And then my last question, we've talked about culture and like trying to pour into girls this year. I feel like that happened a lot over the last couple of years, especially this season with 4 of your girls getting baptized. Can you touch a little bit on that too? Because I know that's such a special thing, especially here at Liberty, where we're trying to train champions for Christ.
Yeah, I mean that's the big picture, and maybe it's just me and my memory, but like Fourth knows, you sit around, talk hockey, the memories blur together, right? It's harder and harder for me to remember specific goals and plays and scores, right. And so maybe some people are better at it than I am. But at the end of the day, like that big picture, those are the things I'm going to remember. And was able to actually had a chance to give a little speech in Nashville and just kind of talked about that, right? That those are the big wins. And in 20 years, when I'm laying on a beach somewhere, hopefully, it won't be remembering the rings and the championships. It's going to be those moments. And you look at our graduating class and, the young women that came in versus the women that were leaving. And it's pretty awesome to see and, excited for them to go out and impact the world and go be moms and business people and nurses and whatever it is. And, but yeah, to see those 4 girls baptized was really special. And they're also just kind of like little, we talk about a love tank, right? They just kind of fill your tank as you're going through the year. The season's long, it's a bit of a grind, and when you get those victories along the way, just super special. And I think seeing even our girls kind of surrounding them as well and being excited. But yeah, God's doing great things. I think He's doing great things with our team, and already excited for next year.
Awesome. Well, Coach, before we let you go, Ontario guy, are you Maple Leafs?
Yeah.
Wow, way to be committed to that answer. The Leafs have left him speechless.
I'm running out of patience. It's been a long grind being a Leafs fan, and they're in the middle of a battle right now, and I just they're hard to watch sometimes and exciting. But I'm a Leafs fan. Obviously, I don't watch a lot of hockey during the regular season, but the playoffs gets pretty exciting. I have a couple group chats, with the boys buzzing about what's going on. But we'll see what they can do. But Matthews better figure it out. Or
I will say, I'll argue that. I agree. Matthews has to pick it up, but he's playing good defensive hockey right now. They're back to home ice, and the matchup is going to favor the Matthews, Marner, Nyes line.
Hey, do you remember, if you remember the Four Nations, I mean, McDavid's his defensive assignment. He left the best player in the world.
Yeah, but then what an opportunity to be tasked with such a hard job.
He's great on the draws. He does some great things, I think, as a centerman. But no, I don't know if they, again, you talk about culture. There's something that's not there with Toronto. They don't have, and you look at the Tavares and all these guys, but something. We'll see. Maybe this is a year.
Yeah.
I'll be ride or die until they're
The
eliminated.
Simpsons did predict that they would win this year, and they've been correct
They're
about
pretty,
a lot of those random things.
Simpsons talking about the Leafs.
So, better watch out.
Well, I will say earlier on in the podcast when we talked with Cade, Pawluk, and Josh Martin, at that time, the Leafs were up 1-0, and Rhett was saying, I know it's not going to, they're going to blow it at some point. So now, at this time, right now, it's 2-2, so by the time this podcast actually comes out, we'll see.
Where they're at.
For the record, I'm a Leafs guy. That Domi hit was pretty awful, right? He's one of the best players in the league.
A hit prior to that on an elbow to Marner's head was far worse than that. But we could talk about that off the pod.
Fourth might be the biggest homer, Leafs homer.
Speaking of the Simpsons, I am.
Well, hey, Coach, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it, and have a great offseason.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Well, always great talking to Coach Lowe's. Again, congratulations to the Women's Division I program on another national title. And, just talking with him and hearing his thoughts about next season for him, I mean, hey, how do you stay a great team? You just on to the next. We want to do it again. And it seems like just looking at this team on paper, they might be poised to run it back, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will. Like, it'll be interesting, and he's not wrong. Like when he said the league is getting better. Like, obviously, I really do believe that, and like, I think. Coach Forth can kind of echo those sentiments. Like in the last year he was with the team in 2023, how hard that championship was to win in Boston, and like just to see where the league is at. Like I feel like it's continuing to grow, and obviously they played a good part of it. But yeah, next year, like with the girls that he's bringing in, like you kind of now have, I think, 4 lines that you can roll consistently, and all 4 lines like have a lot of great potential. Kind of similar to how men's D1 was this past year, like how you could roll all 4 lines, you can expect scoring from all 4 lines. I think you can see that again for the women's program. You're bringing in a goaltender who I feel like is going to be able to kind of create a 3-headed monster for you in net now. She'll complement Keith and Adams very well, and then also a strong defenseman who helps round out your top 4D. So, and you have some young D too that get a chance now to continue to develop and grow. So like when they're ready for the future and it's their time, they're going to be good to go. So like, yeah, I mean the future's pretty bright for women's D1 and being able have a chance to be there to compete for another national title.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to see. And like, again, we've talked a little bit, we've tiptoed around the transfers. I'm really excited if it works out to see those 2 girls in a Liberty uniform.
Because we've, played against them over the years, and they've done a really good job against Liberty. So just to see them in that locker room, and again, he talked about culture, and he wouldn't tell you this, but I can speak nothing but high words of Coach Lowe's
and the culture that he's come in years ago and just kind of established a standard. And like he said, the captains have done a good job living up to that and then leading that out within the locker room. And so they're doing special things there, and I don't imagine it'll stop anytime soon.
Yeah, well, hey, tons to see from that team in the near future. Before we hop out of here, though, we did have a member of our team missing today, Chris Kerr. We want to say congratulations to him and Chantel on the birth of their new baby girl. Things just keep on getting busier around the Kerr household, but hey, just another baby that's going to grow up and be an absolute physical unit, I'm sure.
Yeah,
with the way he trains them.
I know. It'll be interesting to see maybe a future Flame someday, or like on one of our club sport teams. either as a team, helping a team win a national title or individual title. You know, we got a couple individual sports that they might pursue.
Hopefully they get she gets her mother's athleticism and maybe listens to her dad when he's coaching her.
That's right, absolutely.
And we also want to give a big congratulations to the women's disc golf team on winning nationals. Pat, am I remembering correctly? Did they win the breakthrough team at the Club Sports Awards?
They did. They won or outstanding performance.
Yes.
So and for women, Steve Bowman is now chasing Chris Lowe's for a number of national titles.
Really?
So
wow.
Tied with, I believe, Jesse Castro for 5. Okay. Because he's won 3 with his women's teams. Now back-to-back in the tandem category with women's tandem team, but then also his Division 3 and Division 2 men's teams have won team titles too. So he's done some big things with that disc golf program. Yeah, so obviously congrats again for the women's team winning back-to-back national titles.
Yeah, I loved their speech at the Club Sports Choice Awards. They were kind of saying hey, we haven't really played together, but we were teamed up for the national championship, and we won. Good stuff.
All right? Talk about building chemistry early.
Yeah, good.
Going down day 1, they had some heart-to-heart talk. That night. We got to figure it out.
Great communication.
You love to see it. Well, congrats to them. And then also our men's lax team who just won nationals out in Texas, the first national title for that program. And also, hey, heck of a season. You look at it, they lose their first game of the year. Don't lose a game since then. What a year for that group.
Well, I mean, I think for them losing that game to Tech, I don't know if they win a national title if they don't lose that game to Tech, because it kind of made, I'm sure they came into the year with a lot of expectation and expecting to win a national title, and then they had to take some humble pie losing their home opener to their biggest rival, right? So I think that is huge and helped pave the way for the rest of the season for them. And Coach McQuillan and Coach Zampano and Glosser and Killian, they've been grinding at this thing for years, even back in the D2 days when they were a Division 2 team. Unfortunately, lost to eventually the national champion in St. Thomas. That they had made 3 consecutive Final Fours at D1, finally got it done this year. I think it's huge. Coach Forth, I'm sure you've talked to them about winning their first, and when you're on that grind, it's hard, right? And you just never know if it's going to happen. It's good to see them finally do it.
Yeah, and again, just from from standing back and watching and keeping up with the scores, especially at the national tournament, you kind of saw going into that after they won their conference and going into that tournament, they were the best team.
Yeah.
And they executed basically perfectly with momentary lapses with sports, but they came in as the best team, and I thought they played like the best team. So kudos to them. And yesterday in the office, I gave them my ring sizer. So I said, you can hold on to this for now.
That's right.
But I think I'm going to need it back. So.
There we go. Hey, well, congrats to them, and congrats to all the graduating athletes in the class of 2025. Especially, we're a little bit partial here to the hockey athletes that are moving on, taking the next steps, and all the parents that have listened throughout their careers. So thank you guys so much for all that you've done for the hockey program and for tuning into the Rock the Rink Hockey Podcast. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching.